The quiet morning shattered like glass as I stared at my phone. A notification blinked at me, the bright screen pulling my attention. I took a deep breath, thinking it would be a cute message from Tobias, a reminder of our shared coffee plans. Instead, it was a thread of messages that cut through the calm like a knife. My heart raced as I read the words. Tobias was with another woman named Lila. I felt the world shift beneath my feet. How could this happen? My mind raced with questions. Tobias? The man I loved, my partner, was betraying me? The betrayal felt so raw, yet strangely, a cold calmness enveloped me. I was not just a wife anymore. I was a woman ready to reclaim my power. "What did you think would happen, Tobias?" I whispered into the silence of my living room, the emptiness echoing my pain. I could almost hear his voice replying, filled with excuses, but I steeled myself against that familiar ache. No more tears. I had to focus. The question lingered in my mind like a dark cloud. How could the man I trusted betray me so cruelly? And what would I do about it? I spent the next few hours in a haze, my thoughts swirling. I should have felt anger, but instead, I felt an odd sense of clarity. I would not let this define me. I pictured myself as a detective, poised and ready to uncover the truth. What did this Lila have that I didn't? The idea of tracking them both came to me like a spark of electricity. As I prepared breakfast, I thought about my next move. "I need to see for myself," I muttered, the words falling from my lips like a vow. I could no longer be the passive wife, waiting for explanations. No, I wanted answers. Days passed, each one stretching like a rubber band on the brink of snapping. I became a vigilant observer, watching Tobias's every move. I had to know when he left for work, what time he returned, and where he went during those lonely hours. It was exhausting, but it felt empowering. I was no longer just sitting back, absorbing the pain. I was actively seeking the truth. In the shadows of my own life, I transformed into a ghost. I followed him discreetly, like a shadow trailing just behind. I even began reconnecting with my old friends, those who reminded me of who I was before Tobias. I found solace in their laughter and strength, reigniting passions I had long forgotten. But still, a nagging doubt clung to me like a heavy coat. Am I really prepared for the storm of emotions that lie ahead? I would ask myself at night, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of uncertainty. What would I say when I finally confronted him? The thought alone was enough to send shivers down my spine. One afternoon, I caught a glimpse of him through the window, laughing. My heart sank. Lila must have been there. It was like a punch to the gut. I felt the anger rise within me, but I quickly pushed it down. No, not yet. I needed to be smart about this. I took a deep breath and reminded myself, I am not alone in this. I reached out to my closest friend, Emma, for support. "I just need to talk," I said, my voice trembling. She met me at a cafe, her eyes filled with concern. "What's going on?" she asked, leaning in. I hesitated. The words stuck in my throat. "It's Tobias. I found out he's seeing someone else." Her eyes widened. "Oh no, I'm so sorry. What are you going to do?" I met her gaze, a new fire igniting inside me. "I'm going to find out everything. I need to know what's happening before I confront him." As we talked, I felt a sense of hope rise within me. I was not just a victim of betrayal. I was a woman on a quest for truth. With each passing day, I felt stronger, more determined. I was ready to uncover the lies and reclaim my life. But the question still lingered. How would I face the storm when it finally broke? Days passed slowly, each one feeling heavier than the last. I wake up each morning, my heart still aching from the betrayal, but I find a strange sense of purpose within me. I am no longer just a loyal wife. I have become an observer, a detective in my own life. I track Tobias's every move, watching him like a hawk. I remember the first time I followed him. It was a rainy Wednesday afternoon. The clouds hung low, matching the gloom in my heart. I stood behind a large oak tree outside our favorite coffee shop, my hands trembling around my phone. I peered through the window, and there he was with her, Lila. "Is this really happening?" I whispered to myself, my voice barely audible over the sound of the rain. My mind raced with questions. How could he sit there, so relaxed while I was falling apart? As the days turned into weeks, I became more skilled at this new role. I learned the patterns of their meetings. Tobias would leave for work an hour earlier than usual, and I could see Lila waiting for him at the corner cafe. Each time I spotted them together, a mix of anger and sadness washed over me. I was gathering evidence, but I was also piecing together the fragments of my own identity, lost in the chaos of his betrayal. One evening, while scrolling through old photos on my phone, I stumbled upon a picture of us at the beach. I was smiling, carefree, and in love. Where did that woman go? I asked myself, feeling a sharp pang of nostalgia. I knew I needed to reconnect with my passions, to remember who I was before all of this. I picked up my paintbrush for the first time in years. The colors spilled onto the canvas, filling my heart with a warmth I had almost forgotten. Art had always been my escape, and now it was my lifeline. As I painted, I felt the tension start to melt away. "Wow, you've really improved," my best friend Sarah exclaimed when I invited her over to see my work. She clapped her hands together, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Thanks, but I feel like I'm just getting started," I replied, a smile breaking through my sadness. "Good. You need to focus on you. Forget about Tobias and Lila. They don't deserve your energy," Sarah said, her voice firm yet kind. As I embraced this newfound strength, I also faced a nagging doubt. Am I prepared for the storm of emotions that lies ahead? The thought clung to me like a shadow. One night, as I lay in bed, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. What if I wasn't ready to confront him? What if I fell apart when I saw him? I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. I needed to remind myself of my purpose. I was not just a victim. I was a woman reclaiming her power. Tomorrow, I whispered to myself, I will face the day as the woman I am meant to be. The next morning, I decided to take a different route to work, one that passed by the cafe where Tobias and Lila often met. My heart raced as I approached, but I was determined. As I walked by, I caught a glimpse of them inside, laughing and sharing a moment that once belonged to me. In that moment, I felt a surge of anger rise within me. How dare they? I thought, clenching my fists. But then, something shifted. Instead of allowing the anger to consume me, I let it fuel my resolve. I would not be broken by this. I turned away, my mind racing with plans and ideas. I will expose the truth, but I will do it on my own terms, I vowed silently. This was my story now, and I would not let anyone else write it for me. As I walked away, I felt a spark of hope igniting in my chest. This was just the beginning. I was ready to reclaim my narrative, and I knew that a storm was coming, one that I would face with courage and clarity. The morning sun cast a warm glow through my window, but the brightness felt cold against my skin. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall where memories of Tobias and me hung like ghosts. That's when I stumbled upon a message that changed everything. My heart raced as I read the name that echoed in my mind, Lila. I had known her for years. She was a friend I brought into our lives, someone I trusted. The shock of betrayal struck me like lightning, and I felt my breath catch in my throat. How could this happen? I replayed the memories in my head, searching for clues I had missed. As I paced the room, anger bubbled up inside me. But then, a strange calmness washed over me. I was not just a wife. I was a woman who had been wronged and was ready to reclaim my power. I thought of confronting Tobias, demanding answers. But how could I face him without knowing the full story? I needed to gather evidence, to understand what I was dealing with. Days passed, and I became an observer in my own life. I watched Tobias from a distance, noting every late night and whispered phone call. Each detail felt like a knife twisting in my gut. I wanted to scream, to cry, but I kept my calm. I was on a mission. One evening, I decided to meet Anna, my closest friend. I needed to share what I had discovered. As we sat in our favorite cafe, I hesitated. How do you explain that the man you loved was cheating with a friend? Anna, I began, my voice shaking slightly. I found out something about Tobias. Her eyes widened with concern. What is it? You look pale. He's been seeing someone. Her name is Lila, I said, forcing the words out. Anna's expression shifted from concern to shock. Lila? The same Lila you introduced to him? Yes, I replied, feeling the weight of the truth settle heavily on my shoulders. I can't believe it. I thought I knew both of them. Have you talked to him? She asked gently. Not yet. I'm not sure how to confront him, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. Anna reached across the table, squeezing my hand. You deserve the truth. You need to confront him and Lila. This isn't just about them. It's about you too. Her words lingered in the air, and I realized she was right. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming my story. I wanted to confront them, not as a victim, but as a woman ready to take charge of her life. That night, as I lay in bed, a plan began to form in my mind. I would expose the truth, but I would do it on my terms. I thought about how to bring them both together, a moment of revelation where I could lay everything bare. Days turned into a week, and I decided to organize a small gathering. I sent out invitations to friends, making sure both Tobias and Lila would be present. The anticipation built in me, a mix of excitement and dread. On the night of the gathering, the atmosphere in my home buzzed with laughter and chatter. As my friends mingled, I felt a sense of purpose grow within me. I was no longer the woman who had been wronged. I was a woman ready to reclaim her narrative. When I saw Tobias enter the room, my heart raced. He looked around, a smile on his face, completely unaware of the storm that was about to hit. And then there was Lila, her laughter ringing out like a bell. I felt a surge of emotions, anger, betrayal, but also strength. Can I have everyone's attention? I called out, my voice steady despite the chaos inside me. Tobias's smile faded as he turned to look at me, confusion etched on his face. Lila's laughter died in an instant, replaced by a look of apprehension. I have something important to share, I continued, locking eyes with both of them. It's time for the truth to come out. I took a deep breath, ready to unveil the truth that would set me free, ready to reclaim my life. I stand in front of the mirror, adjusting my dress for what feels like the event of a lifetime. It's a social gathering I organized with a single purpose, to reveal the truth about Tobias and Lila. My heart beats loudly in my chest, a mix of excitement and fear. Today, I am not a victim. Today, I am a warrior. Are you ready for this? My friend Sarah asks as she steps into the room. I can see the concern in her eyes, but I also see support. You don't have to go through with it if you don't want to. I take a deep breath, forcing a smile. No, I need to do this. I'm tired of living in the shadows. It's time to take back my life. As I finish applying my makeup, I think about the plan I've laid out. The venue is a beautiful garden, filled with friends and acquaintances who have no idea what's about to unfold. I want them to witness my truth and the betrayal that has haunted me for too long. The clock ticks closer to the start of the event. I feel the weight of the moment pressing down on me. What if they don't react the way I hope? I voice my fear to Sarah, who is standing by my side. Then they don't. But you have to stand up for yourself. You deserve that, she replies, her voice steady. I appreciate her words. They give me strength. Finally, the time arrives. I step into the garden, and the laughter and chatter of guests fill the air. My heart races as I scan the crowd, searching for Tobias and Lila. They are here somewhere, hiding behind smiles, completely unaware that their world is about to change. I catch a glimpse of them near the buffet table. Tobias is laughing, looking charming and relaxed. Lila stands beside him, her hand resting lightly on his arm. The sight makes my stomach twist, but I remind myself of my purpose. I am here to take control. As I walk toward them, the crowd parts, and I feel eyes on me. I notice a few familiar faces, friends who have supported me through the pain. I can't help but feel grateful for their presence. They will witness my strength tonight. When I reach Tobias and Lila, I notice their expressions shift from joy to confusion. "Hey, everyone!" I call out, raising my voice to gather attention. I have something important to say. The laughter fades, and a hush falls over the crowd. I can see Tobias's eyes widen as he realizes what's happening. "What are you doing?" he whispers, panic creeping into his voice. I hold my head high, my heart pounding but steady. "I want to share a story about trust, betrayal, and the strength to reclaim my life." I glance at Lila, who looks pale. "You see, while I've been building a life with Tobias, he has been building a secret with you." Gasps ripple through the crowd. I see friends exchanging glances, shock written on their faces. The tension in the air is thick, almost electric. I take a deep breath, feeling the weight of my words. "Tobias, I introduced you to Lila. I trusted you both." I continue, my voice firm. "But trust is a fragile thing, and you shattered it." I lock eyes with him, and I can see the regret starting to dawn in his expression. "You chose to betray me with someone I thought was a friend." Lila looks down, shame flooding her features. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she stammers, but I shake my head. "It doesn't matter how it happened. What matters is that it did." I pause, letting my words sink in. I am not here to beg for your remorse. I am here to reclaim my story. The crowd watches in silence, and I can feel the energy shift. No longer am I the hurt wife. I am a woman taking back her power. This is my moment, and I will not let it pass without speaking my truth. As I finish, I take a deep breath, feeling lighter. The silence is still deafening, but I feel empowered, ready to walk away from the shadows and into my own light. I glance at Sarah, who smiles back at me with pride. I did it. I stood up for myself. And that, more than anything, is my victory. As I stood at the front of the room, the air felt thick with tension. Friends and acquaintances gathered around, their eyes glued to me, and I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on my shoulders. I took a deep breath, glancing at Tobias and Lila, both of them standing close together, their expressions a mix of shock and fear. I could see the color draining from Tobias's face, and for a brief second, I felt a flicker of satisfaction. This was the moment I had planned for, the moment I would reclaim my power. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions swirling inside me. "I have something important to share with you all today." I could feel the curious glances from the crowd, the way they leaned in slightly, eager to hear what I had to say. Tobias shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting between me and Lila. She looked pale, her lips pressed tightly together as if bracing for impact. I took another breath and continued. "I stand before you not just as a wife, but as a woman who has been deeply hurt and betrayed." A murmur rippled through the crowd, and I could see my friends exchanging worried looks. I felt a surge of strength. Tobias has been unfaithful to me. He has been seeing Lila, someone I once called a friend. Gasps filled the room, and I noticed some people instinctively back away from Tobias and Lila, as if distancing themselves from their betrayal. I could feel the heat rising in my cheeks, but I pressed on, needing to say everything that had been bottled up inside me. It hurts to say this, but I deserve better than this betrayal. I deserve honesty and respect. I met Tobias's eyes, searching for any sign of remorse, but all I saw was a man cornered, desperate to defend himself. He finally spoke, his voice shaky. "I didn't mean for it to happen. Enough," I interrupted, the words slicing through the air. "This isn't about excuses, Tobias. This is about the truth. You chose to betray my trust and our marriage." I could feel the tears prick at my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I was strong now, stronger than I had ever been. Lila stepped forward, her voice trembling. "I never wanted to hurt you. It just happened." I shook my head, feeling a mix of anger and pity for her. "You knew he was married. You knew the consequences of your actions. This isn't just about you and Tobias. It's about the pain you both caused." The silence that followed was deafening. I could see the confusion in their eyes, but I felt a sense of clarity wash over me. I was finally confronting the emotions I had suppressed for too long. I feel hurt and betrayed, but I also feel empowered. I am taking back my life today. I turned back to the crowd, my voice rising with confidence. I refuse to let this define me. I will not be a victim of someone else's choices. This is my story, and I will write it without you. As I spoke, I could feel the burden of hurt and anger begin to lift from my shoulders. I was no longer the woman who stood in the shadows, afraid to confront the truth. I was reclaiming my narrative, stepping into my strength. I finished my speech, feeling lighter than I had in months. Thank you for listening. I hope you all understand the importance of honesty and respect in any relationship. With that, I turned away from Tobias and Lila, feeling the eyes of the crowd still on me. I walked toward the exit, a sense of liberation filling my heart. I had done it. I had faced my fears and emerged stronger. As I stepped out into the fresh air, I took a moment to breathe deeply, feeling a new sense of freedom. This was not just about revenge. This was about reclaiming my life. I was ready to embrace whatever came next, no longer defined by the betrayal that had once held me captive. As I walked away from Tobias and Lila, a strange mix of emotions swirled within me. The weight of betrayal felt lighter, almost as if I had shed a heavy cloak. I took a deep breath, filling my lungs with the fresh air, and for the first time in a long while, I felt free. The reality of my new life began to settle in. "Hey, are you okay?" My friend Mia approached me cautiously. She had always been supportive, and I could see the concern etched on her face. "I will be, Mia. I need some time," I replied, forcing a smile. The truth was, I didn't want to dwell on the pain anymore. It was time to focus on me. The following days were a whirlwind of emotions. I started reconnecting with friends I had neglected during my marriage. Lunches turned into late-night talks, and the laughter we shared filled the empty spaces in my heart. I even found myself picking up my old paintbrush again, something I hadn't done in years. One afternoon, while I painted in my small studio, I felt a spark of joy. The colors on the canvas began to blend into something beautiful, something that represented my journey. With every stroke, I felt the anger and sadness melting away. "Wow, that's stunning!" Mia exclaimed as she walked in, her eyes wide with admiration. "Thanks, it's just a start," I said, stepping back to admire my work. "I'm learning to express what I feel instead of hiding it." "I'm proud of you," she said, giving me a warm hug. "You deserve to feel happy again." As the days turned into weeks, I began to understand that healing was not just about moving on. It was about self-discovery. I explored new hobbies, took yoga classes, and even signed up for a cooking course. Each experience was a step toward reclaiming my identity. One evening, while cooking a new recipe, I called Mia to share my latest culinary adventure. "I made this amazing pasta dish. You have to come over and try it." "I'm on my way," she laughed. "Just save me a plate." When she arrived, the smell of garlic and herbs filled the air. We sat down to eat, and as we savored the meal, I felt content. It was moments like this that reminded me of the simple joys in life. "Mia, do you ever think about forgiveness?" I asked, breaking the comfortable silence. "Of course. It's hard, but I believe it's necessary for healing," she replied thoughtfully. "Why do you ask?" "I think I need to forgive Tobias. Not for him, but for me. I don't want to carry this anger anymore," I admitted, feeling a sense of relief as I spoke the words. "That's a big step," she nodded. "It's brave of you." I realized that forgiveness was not about forgetting the betrayal. It was about letting go of the pain. I didn't want Tobias to have power over my emotions any longer. As I stood in front of my canvas later that night, I decided to paint something new. I grabbed the bright colors and began to create a scene of a sunrise, a symbol of new beginnings. Each brushstroke was a release of my past, and I could feel the warmth of hope filling my heart. In the weeks that followed, I worked on this idea of forgiveness. I wrote a letter to Tobias, pouring my feelings onto the page. I didn't need to send it. The act of writing was enough. It was cathartic, a way to release the final ties to my old life. One day, as I sat in a cafe sipping my coffee, a realization hit me. I was no longer defined by my past. The journey of vengeance had morphed into one of empowerment. I was reclaiming my life, and with every step, I felt stronger. The future was no longer a dark cloud looming overhead. It was filled with possibilities. I could see a path ahead, one that led to healing, resilience, and perhaps love again. With each new day, I was learning to embrace the promise of new beginnings. Cheers to that! I raised my coffee cup, toasting to my newfound freedom and the journey that lay ahead. Share this story if you believe that healing and self-discovery can triumph over betrayal. Leave a comment about a moment when you chose forgiveness and how it transformed your life. Subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories like this one.